Next couple lessons, we're going to continue on with the program. We're going to build a couple more methods and behaviors related to the account class. We're going to talk about something called encapsulation of data and how that works. So I'm not going to explain it. I'm going to show you hands-on and visually how this whole thing works. And then in the very near future, we're going to get into collaborating objects. Oh, and we're also going to use the this keyword again. Okay. So let's get started. So where am I going to start? I'm going to start, you guessed it, right back at the very beginning of this, where we sat down and we just kind of, learn as much as we can how the program is going to work. So I'm just going to sit here for a few minutes. I'm going to stare at it again, and if I have any more questions or whatnot, I can't emphasize how important this step is to think, to stop and think about it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my UML diagrams, and I'm just going to, again, same kind of thing. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to, analyze it and just stare at it. Maybe, stick a lightsaber on the main class here, and just look at it. And looking at it, I realized that, wait a sec, in my program, in the account class, I did something kind of bad. I I added a constructor, and without first adding it to my plans, my UML plans. Well, you know what? Let's be honest. In real life, maybe it's just me, but in real life, this happens a lot. I mean, like you think, and then you act before you plan it. It does happen. So, just to keep things consistent, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add that constructor here. Okay, so I'm going to add that constructor. Okay, right here, and then call this ACNT, and that will be my constructor. Okay, so what we're going to do from here is we're going to work on the deposit and the withdraw methods. And so in staring at my UML plans, you know what? I'm looking at this withdraw balance and withdraw credit. I'm just not liking the name of this these two functions. So again, a benefit of the UML diagrams and having everything kind of on one page is I can see and I can analyze this, and I can make sure that my naming convention, extremely important, is a good one. So I'm not, all of a sudden I'm not liking this anymore. So I'm just going to change it right here. I just call it WD Bal, and in this one here, I'm going to call it WD Cred, like that. There, I'm liking these names a whole lot more. Okay, so why don't we start with the deposit? So in starting with the deposit, actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at the I'm going to analyze the object again, and I'm going to go back to my object drawing. So let's do that. Okay, so here's my object. So what I'm looking at here is this is the instantiation or an instance of the account class. So this object is an account object or a person object or a client object, whatever you want to call it. And now what this object looks like in the computer program that we're developing is this one right here. Okay, so G1. It is of the type account, and we're creating a new object. And the object has the following properties: Princess, first name; Leia, last name; $1,000 account balance. So, if I were to draw this object, it might physically look something like this. So the object has properties. Okay, it has a first name, last name, and balance. But and these are properties or fields that describe the object, and we could have a lot more, obviously, but it can't really do anything. Now, just use your imagination for a second. If this were a real pen and paper, if this was a client Okay, and client has a file. In that file, the client object or the account object is described by the first name field, the last name field, and the balance field. Now, some of the functionalities you could do is you can, you can withdraw money from this person's bank account, and you could deposit money to it. So those are some of the behaviors that this object should be able to do. So let's go ahead and start this behavior. So where do we start? Well, the tendency would be to start typing right away, but we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to now that we identified what we need to withdraw, or we need a deposit method. Okay, and we also know where that deposit method is going to sit. It's going to sit in the account class. Okay, and we know what it's called, dep, and we know what parameters or arguments it needs. It needs a number, the number that's going to be deposited. Now what we need to do is we just need to think a little bit about how we're going to do this deposit. So what I'm going to do is going to go back to my word processor, right, and skip a page kind of thing. Okay, here, so these are my plans for the deposit. Okay. Okay, so the plans are pretty simple. What I want to do is, the first step is I want to get the amount that I want to deposit, and the second thing I want to do is I want to get the balance of the client or account that I want to deposit to, and then I want to add the amount I want to deposit to the balance. Okay, and that's it. So now that we got this started and we've created a plan. Okay, what I did here is this is basically, in plain English, it's an algorithm. An algorithm are steps to follow to achieve a goal or to solve a problem, and this problem is brutally simple. I just want to make a deposit. Now that I have a plan, I thought about it, and I have all the rest of my information, I'm ready to start programming. To convert my algorithm into a text that Java is going to understand. Okay, so that's going to be the end of this video, and or end of this lesson. I can't emphasize how important it is before you start tapping away at the keyboard and doing stuff, to sit down and think about what you want to do. And it's one of those things that it'll be a big time saver later on. The better you plan, the more time you're going to save. Granted that a lot of times, to make a proper plan involves actually a certain amount of knowledge and experience, but this is a very important step. Okay, so next video lesson, we're going to convert our plain English algorithm to something that Java is going to understand.